I believe so. I think we have everyone we need.
Okay, I'll start the meeting and let me know when you would like me to um, give the opening statement, okay? Um,
Sure, go ahead. I think you
Yeah.
can start.
Thank you. I just want to make sure Rochelle has the tape on at this point.
Yes, it's all going.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is September 14th, 2023. Welcome to the Plumbing Piping Examining Board, Department of Consumer Protection, the state of Connecticut. At this point, we have a quorum. We have, I'd like to have each member of the Plumbing Board say their full name for this hearing. We do have a quorum, so I'd like to start with Melissa Sheffy, please, and her
Melissa
position with the
Sheffy,
board.
public member.
And now, any way we could turn this up a little?
What?
Can you turn
Thank
it up
you.
a little? Just a
Thank
little
you,
bit.
Melissa. Chip, you're on mute, and Jay, you can, well, he's doing that. You can, Jay, if you want to.
Yep. Good morning. My name is Jay Moore. I'm on the Plumbing Licensing Board, and I am a unlimited journeyman holder, a license holder.
Thank you, Jay.
Is that better?
Okay. Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Chip.
Carlton H. Pember IV. I'm on the plumbing board as a P1.
Thank you. We have Joe Polici. I'm not sure if Joe can hear us. I believe he can. I'm not sure if he can respond, though.
I can hear you, Mr. Chairman. Joseph Palekia. I'm on the plumbing board as a contractor member, P1.
Great. Thank you very much. So we have 5 members here today of the plumbing board. Am I missing anybody on the plumbing board that came in after the fact here that I don't see on my screen? Okay, so we can get started. Attorney Fernandez, at this time, would you like me to make my opening remarks?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a contested case hearing being held by the Department of Consumer Protection, the state of Connecticut, board against Mr. Is it Art Ducato? Do I have that correct?
Yes, correct.
And how do you spell your last name, Art, please?
It's capital D, E, capital C, A, T, O.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
In case number 2022-50, my name is Charles E. Appleby Sr. I am the chairman of the Plumbing Pipe and Examining Board. I have been designated as the presiding officer in this matter. For the record, I will ask the board members who will participate in this manner to identify themselves at this time, which they already have. It is alleged that Mr. Art Ducato has violated the provisions of sections of the Connecticut General Statutes and sections of the regulations of Connecticut state agencies. The administrative hearing is being held in accordance with the general statutes and with the regulations of the Connecticut state agencies. For the record, I note that this hearing is convened at 9:05 a.m. on September 14th of 2023 via the Microsoft Office Teams video conferencing platform. The purpose of today's hearing is to provide an opportunity to present evidence on the matters raised in the complaint. The burden of proof is on the department to prove their case by a preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not that the respondent violated the laws alleged by the department. Evidence may be admitted either by oral testimony or by documents, and the strict rules of evidence as applied in a court of law are not applicable here. There is greater latitude in what is allowed as evidence in an administrative hearing. However, testimony will be under oath, and the rules of evidence as set forth in the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act for administrative hearings will apply. The proceedings today will follow this format. Both parties will be permitted time to present a short opening statement starting with counsel for the Department of Consumer Protection. After brief opening statements, the parties may call as a witness any person present here today who is competent to testify. Please focus on the facts the board should have in order to render a fair decision. There will be an opportunity at the end of the hearing for each side to present a closing argument on why it feels its position should be upheld according to the facts that have been presented. All parties will have the opportunity to cross-examine each witness presented by any other party. If after one party has presented its case, and the other party feels it is necessary to call further witnesses, they may do so. This procedure is followed until all sides are satisfied that the facts presented by each are fully and fairly presented and that the factual record is complete. Documents may be admitted into evidence either by agreement of the parties subject to the board's review as to relevancy and its materiality, or through the testimony of a competent witness. Documents submitted in advance are not considered entered into the record until one of the parties introduces the exhibit on the record during the hearing. Exhibits have not been reviewed or considered by the board in advance of this hearing. Are there any questions, Mr. Takato?
No, sir.
Before we get started, please note the following protocols for this hearing. 1, please speak clearly and one at a time if this hearing is being recorded. Please keep your video cameras on throughout the hearing. Participants should not participate in the hearing while driving. Participants should keep their microphone on mute when they are not speaking and state their name when they begin to speak. If a participant leaves their microphone on when somebody else is speaking, we may place that participant on mute. Please do everything possible to reduce any background noise around you. Please do not disclose confidential information during this hearing unless it's specifically requested or necessary to put on your case. This hearing is recorded and available for public viewing. Members of the public will not have an opportunity to speak during this hearing. This is an administrative hearing. The public may attend, but must remain muted. Exhibits that were sent in prior to the hearing will not be considered unless they are entered during the hearing. To enter an exhibit, the submitting party must reference the document and inform the board that they are entering the exhibit into the record. If you have a technology issue, Mr. Takato, during this hearing, please call. Can I give you a phone number?
Yes.
860-840-2075. Conference ID reference 912-729-02 #, or email dcp.helpdesk@ct.gov. Do you need me to repeat any of this information I just provided?
No, sir.
Okay, I now request that anyone present who is going to participate, everyone who is a party, an intervener, a witness, or counsel, please state and spell out your legal name for the record, including what position you are in this hearing. Also, please state your mailing address so we may confirm your identity. We will start with you, Mr. Takato, please.
Okay, Arthur M. Decato, DECATO, address 79 Florence Road, Unit 1A, Brantford, Connecticut, 06405.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Do we have anyone else in your party, Mr. Takato, today that is going to be an intervener or a witness for you or counsel?
No, we don't.
Okay. So can we, at this point, who's going to participate, can we start with our supervising special investigator? I'm going to abbreviate that to SSI for future. Again, that's supervising special investigator, SSI, Janita Hamill. We'll start with Janita, please.
It's Janita Hamill, Hamel, As the chairman said, I'm a supervising special investigator with the Investigations Division at Consumer Protection, abbreviated to SSI. My mailing address is 450 Columbus Boulevard, Hartford, Connecticut, 06103.
Thank you, SSI Hamel. I appreciate that. At this time, I believe we just have a guest, not a guest, I'm sorry. He's a plumbing board member. Aaron Nottbar just joined us, I believe. I have not asked him. You just come in now, Aaron?
Yes, I just a few minutes.
Thank you. You'll be our number 6 board member here today. We have a quorum. Could you please say your name and your position on the plumbing board at this time?
Aaron Nachbar, Nachbar, contractor member, DCP Plumbing Board.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that needs to participate here today other than those people I already spoke with? Okay. Is the, at this point, is the respondent represented by counsel? I believe you said no, but you can, for the record.
No, I'm not.
Are there any witnesses present for you, sir?
No, sir, there's not,
Okay, thank you.
other than myself.
Thank you, sir. Counsel, please identify yourself for the board, please, in this hearing.
Cynthia Fernandez, counsel for DCP, FERNANDEZ, and I work at 450 Columbus Boulevard, Hartford, Connecticut.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez. At this time, it will be swearing in the parties this morning and witnesses. However, Mr. Toccato, I would ask you to raise your right hand for us. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth? and nothing but the
I'm
truth?
sorry, Mr. Chairman, also Ms. Hamel, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do everybody separate. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, we can do everybody as one.
Sure.
Okay, so Mr. Toccato and Hamel, Ms. Hamel, please, yes, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank
I
you.
do.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, Attorney Fernandez, I'm going to turn the meeting hearing over to you.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So my one witness is Ms. Hamel this morning. And Ms. Hamel, if you could just, I know you just stated your name for the record, if you could just state it again, please.
Yes, it's Janita Hamel, Hamel.
And where are you employed and what is your title?
Department of Consumer Protection. I am a supervising special investigator.
How long have you been employed by the department?
29 and a half years.
And what are your qualifications for your position?
I hold an unlimited occupational contractor license. I hold a limited occupational contractor license. I hold a limited occupational journey person license, and I am a code inspector licensed by the State Building Officials Office.
Now, if you could please describe your duties and responsibilities as an investigator for the department?
Clarification, please. As investigating or as a supervisor?
As both, supervising investigations.
I supervise 4 inspectors and 1 investigator. I will review and assign complaints to them to be investigated based on the allegations and the statutes for that area for which they are working on. I also assign and assist with occupational or professional site inspections. I also will investigate complaints that are assigned to me directly as a supervisor or reassigned to me when an inspector has left the agency.
And so what does the investigation of a complaint entail?
A complaint can either be online, mailed in, hand delivered, and at which case it's entered by the complaint center and then it's forwarded for review and assignment. and a letter with a copy of the complaint is sent to the party or parties named in the complaint. And the complainant gets an acknowledgement that the complaint was received, or if there's not enough information in the initial complaint, the complainant will be sent either an email or a letter requesting that they provide additional information or documentation regarding the allegations they made in the initial complaint. And if they have any documentation, to kindly please provide that.
And did that take place in this case?
Yes, it did.
So are you familiar with the Connecticut statutes and regulations that govern plumbing work and the licenses necessary to perform that work?
Yes, I am.
And so when you reviewed this complaint, did you review it to see if there were any possible violations of law or regulations?
We had to, I'm sorry, but my computer says it's going to restart and I'm going to be kicked out of this meeting.
Is there a way to pause that restart? Can you snooze it?
I'm just letting you know, I don't know how long it's going to last.
Okay.
So, and that's an automatic thing that happens. So I may end up being kicked out and have to come back.
Okay. Okay. We'll keep going as long as we can. Okay. All right. So where was I? All right. So what was the basis of the complaint against this respondent?
It's actually 2 respondents. Because the initial complaint was with the home improvement contractor, Moriarty Construction, and his plumbing contractor, which is Mr. Ducato.
So, I'm sorry. I just want to pull up an exhibit before you continue. Rochelle, are you able to pull up exhibit 1? Okay.
Are you seeing?
So Ms. Hamill, yes, we can. Can everybody see that?
Yes,
That's a complaint that was submitted by email that went to the complaint center. And like I said, we send or email or contact the complainant to try to get additional information as to who's who and who's involved.
Okay, and so I'd like to offer exhibit 1 as a full exhibit.
thank you.
That's accepted?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great, thank you. So we're going to jump around in the exhibit numbers a little bit, Rochelle. If we could please pull up exhibit 3 next. Now, Ms. Hamill, how many work sites were involved in the complaint and what was the basis of the complaint?
There were 4 complaint sites named, only 3 of which had work that came into the investigation based on permits and certified payroll.
Now, in terms of the respondent, what were the allegations against the respondent in this complaint?
That he
Mr.
obtained permits for plumbing work, and that unlicensed people performed work under those permits.
Okay. Now, looking at exhibit 3, what is this document that everyone is looking at right now? If you could please identify that.
That is a document that was submitted through Attorney Sobel to me for Mr. Moriarty, and it is a list of the scope of work that was going to be performed.
And what was the site that this work was to be performed at?
Can you bring it down? Because,
I believe it's listed at the top of the document.
oh, for CB Motley,
Okay. I'd like to offer Exhibit 3 as a full exhibit, but before we move on from that, Ms. Hamill, if you could just describe the scope of work entailed in this contract?
the removal and replacement of a water storage, replacement, lavatory toilets, lavatory sinks and faucets, lavatory shower rods and head kits, kitchen sinks and faucets, toilet accessories to include security, the handicap handrails in the bathroom. Then it also says replace all water feeds and valves, lav drains, insulation, domestic water piping and specialties, sanitary waste and vent piping and specialties, hydronic piping and specialties, demolition, natural gas piping.
Thank you. And to clarify for the record, is this a contract directly with Mr. Decado, the respondent, or with the home improvement contractor?
With the home improvement contractor.
Okay, but is this plumbing work that was hired out by that home improvement contractor? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, and
Oh.
there is a contract further along that will show that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 3 as a full exhibit. Mr. Chairman? Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I didn't see how that happened. I accept that evidence. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now, Ms. Hamill, you stated that there were 3 work sites that are the subject of this hearing, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if we could pull up Exhibit 7, please. Thank you. Okay, can we zoom in on that a little bit, Rochelle, please? It's a little hard to see. All right, great, thank you. Now, Ms. Hamill, what work site does this contract pertain to?
Can I see the top? This is for the Catherine Harvey Terrace job site.
And if you could describe the scope of work involved on this contract?
Furnish labor, material, and equipment necessary. It says plumbing and HVAC.
Okay. I'd like to offer Exhibit 7 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
All right. Now, the third work site, if we could please pull up Exhibit 11. Now, Ms. Hamill, if you could please
That's
describe
the New Hall Gardens in New Haven, Connecticut. And it's plumbing, all in accordance with contract documents as listed in Rider A.
Okay, and just to clarify again for the record that these contracts are between the home improvement contractor and construction management trade contract
Yes.
and ECC group, right? Okay, great, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 11 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
Now, did the respondent, Mr. Decado, enter into a contract directly with the home improvement contractor for this, one of these sites?
Yes, he did.
If we could pull up Exhibit 8, please. Okay, so Ms. Hamill, if you could describe what this document is for the record for everyone watching today.
It's a contract agreement with Moriar Construction and Art Decado for the CB Motley job site in New Haven, Connecticut.
And what did that entail? Like what type of work was requested in that contract?
The contract agreement is labor only to provide plumbing permits and supervisory services and material layout for demolition, the installation of faucets, sinks, lavs, and condensation piping for phases 1, 2, and 3, which includes 45 units at the CB Motley facility located at 819 Sherman Parkway, New Haven, Connecticut.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 8 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
Now, Ms. Hamel, did Mr. Ducato obtain plumbing work permits for these 3 sites?
Yes, he did.
Now, if we could please pull up Exhibit 6. Can we zoom in on that? Okay, great, thank you. Ms. Hamel, if you could describe the contents of this exhibit, who it was issued to, the date, and what it entailed, like what the permitted work is described as.
It's a plumbing permit to Mr. Arthur M. Ducato, and for alteration or demolition, and the plumbing is to replace 2 gas hot water heaters, install shower stall and kitchen sink. And the date, I can't see it.
I believe it's at the bottom. If we could scroll down a little. Okay, here we go.
And it was issued 9/16 of 2018.
And is this for the Harvey work site? Is that correct?
I believe, yes, it is.
All right, I'd like to offer Exhibit 6 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
Now, moving on to the Motley work site, if we could pull up Exhibit 9. Okay, Ms. Hamel, if you could describe this document and the work approved in this permit.
It's a plumbing permit issued to Arthur M. Ducato. It's for the 819, Sherman Ave, and gas line, and also remove and replace bath/kitchens, only 45 units, remove and replace 2 120-gallon storage place, and the fees are listed on there as well. And the date is December 4th, 2018.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 9 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And then moving to the Newhall plumbing permit, if we could pull up Exhibit 12. Ms. Hamel, if you could describe this permit and the work that is approved and who it was
Okay.
issued to.
It's a plumbing permit, all 3, and I should have said it on the first 2, from the City of New Haven Building Department, plumbing permit, Arthur M. Ducato, for 5 Daisy Street, and it's water heater, replace 10 gas hot water heaters.
And the date on this one, if we could scroll down.
Is from September 6th of 2018.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 12 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
Now, Ms. Hamel, did the respondent hire licensed individuals to perform the plumbing work on these sites?
No, he did not.
All right, if we could please pull up Exhibit 18. All right, Ms. Hamel, if you could describe this document and what, you don't have to, it's a long document, you don't have to get into details with it, but at least, you know, who it came from, why you received it, and the information contained.
It's a letter from Attorney Paul Sobel, who represented Moriarty Construction in the complaint of Mark Lee, which is a separate file number from the one for Mr. Ducato for the department's tracking purposes. And Mr. Sobel Attorney Sobel indicated that he represented the company in the complaint. And what you're looking at is his 2-page, I guess, table of contents for informing us what he provided and what it was.
If we could scroll
So-
down in this document a bit, Rochelle, please.
And what he did was
Can we go back one page? I'm sorry. Go back to the first, yeah, exactly.
and what he did was he numbered and he indicated what was what. Contract with Moriarty for New Hall, contract with Moriarty for Catherine Harvey Terrace, contract with Moriarty for CB Motley, the plumbing permits for those 3 job sites, the building permits for those 3 job sites, skilled and trained labor report for those 3, an employee list report, excuse me, a contract between Moriarty Construction and Art Ducato. There is a typo on his. He put BB Motley and it's actually CB Motley.
All right, and so if we could scroll down,
This
This
second
document.
page.
right.
Yep,
Um,
and then the last one was an email from O&G Industries, and they were attempting to get certified payrolls and get copies of them together to get to me for investigation.
Did you ultimately receive that certified payroll?
Yes, I did.
All right,
3
thank you.
sets.
And if we could scroll down, a couple. Okay, so did this information from Attorney Sobel provide the department with, the unlicensed individuals that were working on these sites?
Yes, it did.
Now, if we could scroll down, to on the next page. This document is redacted for purposes, to respect privacy in certain regard. Now, if we can go down to the next page. Okay, so on this page, Ms. Hamill, we see a name and address. If you could explain the significance of this individual.
This individual is Curtis Woods. Address based off of the certified payroll was 230 Columbus Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. He is one of the unlicensed people who performed plumbing work on a job site that was permitted.
Now, this information itself was pulled from the department's database, is that correct?
This particular sheet, yes, I checked for licenses for everyone that was named as a possible plumbing person.
And was there any license or any credential on file with the department? Any
For
plumbing?
for Curtis Woods, no.
Okay, if we could scroll down to the next page, please, Rochelle. Okay, and this name and address is significant for what reason?
It's Mr. John Doobie. He was also working on the job sites that were permitted. This is an address that was provided, 311 Eastern Street, Building E, 1505, New Haven, Connecticut. Mr. Doobie is not licensed, but he had attempted many years ago to get a plumbing license and applied and never followed through.
Okay, thank you. If we could go down one more page to the last page. Now, this name and address significance?
Louis Strother, 83 Beer Street, New Haven, Connecticut, also was worked on job site permitted and is not licensed and is not a registered apprentice either.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 18 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
Now, if we could pull up Exhibit 20, please. Now, Ms. Hamill, through your investigation of this matter, did you obtain a skilled and trained workforce report?
Yes, it was provided in the list of documents from Attorney Sobel.
Now, if you could describe for the record and for the board, what this document is that we're looking at.
It's a skilled and trained workforce detailed listing. It's for Moriarty Construction, and it's for the CB Motley, and it's, I don't know who creates it. It could be Elm City Communities. But there is a list of names and their trade on the sheet.
Now, the three previous, in the previous document that we looked at, they were listed, John Dube or Doobie, Curtis Woods.
Yep.
And anyone else that's on this document apart from the respondent? At least
Nope,
pertaining to the Motley site.
it would be Curtis Woods and it would be John Doobie.
Now, this document I see request information on whether they're skilled and trained, and what information does this contain as to those individuals?
It says their trade is plumber.
And how many hours are they listed for working at the Motley site?
Based off of the skilled workforce, 101 for Curtis Woods and 164 for John Doobie.
Now, is the respondent also listed on this document?
Yes, he is.
And is he listed as a subcontractor under the home improvement contractor?
No.
He's listed as a plumber. It doesn't say he's a sub.
Okay. All right, thank you. If we could move on to the next page in this exhibit. All right. Now, Ms. Hamill, if you could describe which work site this document pertains to and which of the workers listed are relevant to this hearing.
It's for the Catherine Harvey job site. Again, it's a skilled and trained workforce detailed report with the Elm City Communities Housing Authority, New Haven. On it pertaining to this matter would be John Doobie, listed as a plumber pipe fitter, and Louis Struther, listed as a plumber pipe fitter for 32.5 hours, and Mr. Doobie listed on there for 18 hours.
All right, and if we could go down one more page to the last page. All right, Ms. Hamill, if you could describe the work site and the relevant workers that are listed on this page.
It's a skilled and trained workforce report detailed with Elm City Communities Housing Authority and Moriarty Construction, which would have been the same for the previous two documents. John Doobie is listed as a plumber pipe fitter. Louis Struther is listed as a plumber pipe fitter. Louis Struther is listed as for 32 hours. Mr. Doobie is listed for 12.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 20 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
All right, now, Ms. Hamill, you received a certified payroll for each of these three work sites, correct?
Yes, I did.
Were these individuals listed in those certified payrolls?
Yes, they were.
If we could bounce back to Exhibit 2, please, Rochelle. All right, if you could describe, again, the document is redacted to protect the privacy of people who are not involved. But if you could describe what this document is.
It's a page of the certified weekly payroll that was submitted to the department by Attorney Sobel on behalf of Moriarty Construction. It's for the Catherine Harvey job site, and it shows Louis Struther on that certified payroll.
Can we scroll down to the next, I think the third page. And the next page, sorry. So are there any other individuals listed on this payroll?
It's for the Catherine Harvey job site, and John Doobie is also listed on that, on a page of the certified payroll that was provided by Attorney Sobel.
Great, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 2 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
If we could jump over to Exhibit 10. Ms. Hamill, if you could describe what document this would be?
It's a page of the certified weekly payroll reporting form that was provided to the department by Attorney Sobel. In this matter, it's for CB Motley, and it lists John Doobie.
If we could continue down page by page, please, Rochelle. You can go to the next page. Thank you.
I believe it's upside down.
There we go. We can continue down to the next page. Next. Yep, I think it's this one. Okay, so does this certified payroll reflect the information that was tabulated in Exhibit 20? Meaning the hours.
The hours, for the purposes of citing the violations, I utilized the certified payroll and not the trained workforce documents, because I felt that a certified document, certified payroll, carried more weight than a document that had numbers on it.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit, this is Exhibit 10 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And if we could move on to Exhibit 13. Ms. Hamill, if you could describe for the record this document and what it pertains to.
It's a weekly certified payroll reporting form for Newhall Gardens, and it indicates that John Doobie and Louis Strother worked on that job site.
Right, I'd like to offer Exhibit 13 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
All right, now, thank you. Did Ms. Hamill, did the respondent receive notice of this complaint?
Yes, he did.
If we could go up to Exhibit 11, please. I'm sorry, Exhibit 5. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Okay. If we could zoom in, right. So Ms. Hamill, can you describe, please, these documents for the record?
This is a Department of Consumer Protection 10-day letter. They used to be called 14-day letters. They're now called 10 days. It's a 14-day letter where we contact the respondents named in the complaint, and they get a copy of the complaint or the documents we have to that point and request that they respond to us.
If we could scroll down to the next page here. Did the department receive a response to this notice from the respondent?
Yes, counsel, we did. And what you see is a photograph that was taken of his S8 limited heating and cooling journeyperson license, his P1 plumbing and piping and limited contractor license, and his home improvement contractor registration.
And if we could scroll down to the next page, please. As if you could just describe these documents.
It's an email from me to Mr. Ducato and Ms. Panzo, who was the person who had emailed me the documents on Mr. Ducato's behalf. And I thank them for that, but I still need an explanation about his business relationship with Sigmund Morier, DBA Moriar Construction, and the names and copies of the licenses of the plumbers who did the work at Sherman Ave, and copies of the permits as well. And I also indicated that through additional emails from the complainant that the allegation was that there was approximately 30 unlicensed people doing plumbing work at this job site. And I indicated that there were serious allegations of violations governing each license that Mr. Ducato holds. And for each license would mean his heating and cooling and his plumbing. The home improvement contractor is a registration. There's no exam involved. For the occupational side, you must meet certain criteria, apply, be approved, take and pass your exam. So I referenced for the licenses.
Now, did you ever receive evidence of any of the workers that Mr. Ducato hired being licensed?
No.
All right, I'd like to offer Exhibit 5 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And now, was there a report drafted as a result of this complaint?
Yes.
If we could pull up Exhibit 15, please. So it's, again, a long document. So if you could just describe what this document is and, you know, the purpose it serves in an investigation.
It's the report based on the information received and reviewed versus the allegations versus the statutes and the regulations. And it's typical of what the inspectors and the investigators, or I or the other supervising special investigators, would provide to the legal department when we're submitting a report with regarding a certain matter.
And if I'd like to offer Exhibit 15 as a full exhibit. Ms. Hamill I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
He's on mute.
I don't know how it does that, but it's doing it. I'm sorry about that. I accept that piece.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Now, was there a compliance meeting held in this matter, Ms. Hamill?
Yes, there was.
If we could pull up Exhibit 16, please. If you could just describe what this document is.
It's a state of Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection letter from legal regarding the case. It was sent by electronic mail and first class mail.
Now, if
Giving
we could scroll.
notice. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you finish.
I believe it's the notice of the compliance meeting to be held.
Correct. If we could scroll down just to the last page. Just for this here. If we could, yeah, exactly. If you could just describe for the record, Ms. Hamill, when this meeting was held.
On April 13th at 2023, it was supposed to take place at 1 o'clock, but it did not.
Did it ultimately take place on that date?
Yes, it did.
And did the respondent attend?
Yes, he did.
Thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 16 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And so if we could just pull up Exhibit 17, please. If you could just describe for the record what this document would be.
It's the complaint that's before the plumbing board in the matter today.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer Exhibit 17 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And I believe I just have one last exhibit. Now, Ms. Hamill, you did state that Mr. Decado holds a contractor license with the department, correct?
Yes, he does.
And if we could pull up exhibit 14. All right, if you could just describe for the record what we're looking at here.
It is from the department's credential database, a printout of Arthur M. Decado's P1 Plumbing Unlimited Piping and Plumbing Unlimited Contractor License P1 203201.
All right, thank you. I'd like to offer exhibit 14 as a full exhibit.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez.
And if you give me 2 seconds to make sure I got everything in.
Take your time.
Yep, I have no further questions at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Fernandez. Mr. Decado, do you, at this point, the attorney for the state of Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection has completed hers. Do you have any evidence at this time that you would like to supply as evidence on behalf of yourself in front of the board this morning? Mr. Decado, you are currently on mute, so what you just said, if you could repeat what you just said, thank you. Yeah, there's a mute button there somewhere in your screen that
Okay.
we got you now, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Did you hear what I had to say just briefly a few minutes ago to see if you have any evidence that you would like to provide this administrative hearing for the plumbing board this morning?
Nothing other than my personal knowledge of what went on. As an employee only of Moria Construction, let me state that never was I ever a subcontractor to Moria Construction. So I really don't understand what this has to do with me. I only worked as a employee. The records show that I was an employee, and I believe the state allows me to pull permits for him as long as I am on his payroll in my 50 years of doing this. So I don't understand why I'm being cited for this, first of all, because I had nothing to do with who he hired or who he put anywhere, on what job sites he put them. And I was never supervising them. I only supervised myself being an employee of Moria Construction for the work that I did.
Okay. All right. So at this point, you pretty much, Mr. Decado, have said as much as you feel at this point. I'm going to move the meeting over to closing arguments at this time.
Yes, sir.
And I'll let Attorney Fernandez take this.
So
Can I add something before we turn it over to Attorney Fernandez?
Yes, you can, sir.
Okay. I'd like to say that at one point during this whole operation and the jobs that were being done at Moria Construction, that Mr. Moria explained to me that this person, Mark Lee, who I never met, do not know of him, don't know who he is. He said that Mark Lee was upset because Mr. Moria did not give him the work. So I believe that this all stems from somebody being disenchanted by not getting a job.
Hello?
And, That, as far as I know, that was what Mr. Moria said to me.
Can I get on that?
No, no. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make clear that if if you're not a party to this proceeding, you're not permitted to speak. You can listen in, but you're not an intervener, you're not a party, so there's no participation in this hearing. You can watch it, but not participate.
Or even though I made the complaint
Yes, even though you made the complaint, it's the department's case at this point.
and turned in all the information on it? Because right now he's talking.
This is not it.
All right.
Rochelle, if you could put Mr. Lee on mute, this is not for you to participate in. Thank you.
Okay, Attorney Fernandez, you can continue.
I wanted to make sure Mr. Takato got to say what he wanted to say.
Okay.
Yes. Again, I just, again, I don't understand because some of these job sites, I wasn't even present. And again, I don't know what went on between these employees and Moria Construction. I was only an employee there. I had no control over hiring anybody. I only did the work that I did myself, had it inspected and passed, and pulled the permits because I was on his payroll. So as far as Moria Construction goes and their practices as a contractor, I have no control over it. I had no control over it. And at no time did anybody ask me to be in control of it. As you can see, I was only hired as an employee. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's all I know.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Attorney Fernandez, please.
So I don't have a closing argument. I just want to make clear for Mr. Takato. So you did pull these permits, correct?
I did pull the permits for him, and like I said, I believe the state allows me, being an employee and on his payroll, to pull the permits for him. I mean, I guess that the chairman could give you more insight on that, or maybe Ms. Hamill could. But I believe that's the way the law states, that I'm allowed to pull the permits as long as I'm on his payroll.
All right, so one thing I don't have any further questions for Mr. Takato. One thing I want to, before the board deliberates, I want to make an oral amendment to my prayer for relief to subtract a certain amount from the civil penalty, since I realized that I added an extra $3,000 that was not called for. I inadvertently calculated a violation of paragraph 51, which is not the way that it's calculated. So the civil penalty is maxed out at 47,500. And as usual, the board is aware that they're not bound by the department's prayer for relief. They're not bound by that number, but that is the maximum that can be award or ordered in this case, is the point. So that's all I have to say at this point.
Okay. At this time, does any board members have any questions for Attorney Fernandez or Mr. Takato at this time? Melissa Sheffy has her hand raised, please. Melissa?
I'd like to know if we have, Ms. Hamill, have you found any payroll records that document that he was on their payroll? Because I'm very confused at Mr. Takato's statements right now, saying that he was on payroll because we have contracts that were submitted as an exhibit that would indicate that he's not on payroll and it was a contract written.
Can I answer that?
I directed it to Ms. Hamill at first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a written contract between Mr. Takato and Moriar on the CB Motley group. He's listed on the certified payroll there. On the other two job sites, he is not listed there. And Attorney Fernandez, can I bring up something that Mr. Moriar had said, or no, I can't do that?
That stated during the compliance meeting, or?
I don't remember. No. Okay.
Honestly, since we closed evidence, I'd rather, base it
good.
on the evidence that was presented.
Well, okay, so just expanding on that, typically when you have a contract, that makes someone an independent contractor. And so I'm curious as to whether or not any other payroll records other than the certified payrolls have been provided.
No.
And there was also something in it that was presented somewhere I read along the way that Mr. Ducato had given money to Mr. Doobie to get his license, and whether he did it or not. So that to me says it's not an employee relationship. That's all.
Can I answer to that?
Sure.
Okay, so in the evidence, you're going to see that my name is on the payroll sheets. It shows me as on the payroll sheets, Art Ducato. It gives the hours. I don't know if you looked at all the evidence, but it's there. Okay, I wasn't on every job, but it shows my name being on the payroll. Never and at no time did I ever give him a contract stating that I was going to be a subcontractor to him. He hired me as an employee. That's what I did. As far as the other people, I have no control over what Mr. Moria does with his money and who he hires to do his work. It's not my concern. I'm not part of the company and the capacity of being on his board or being an officer of his company. I was only a paid employee. That was
I
it.
understand that, sir. I understand
Yes.
that. But
Okay.
when I have my employees, I own a business. When I have my employees, I don't give them a separate contract. I direct them as to what to do, and it's not a separate contract.
Okay, but I don't see where I have a contract with him. And where does it state that I'm saying I'm a subcontractor to him? It
Typically,
shows me
you would
on
have,
the payroll sheets. And
right,
that's it.
right.
So that makes me an employee, doesn't it?
I think Jay has something
Yeah.
else to add.
Yeah, Jay Moore, please.
Yeah, I do, Mr. Ducato. So you
Yes.
claim that wasn't necessary for you to supervise. In your contract agreement, I just pulled this one up at CB Motley. Your agreement says you will provide plumbing permits and supervisory services, right? Supervisory services. And
Yes.
then at the end of it says you will make an effort to meet minority employment opportunities. So you were aware of all employees that were hired at this project. According to your excuse me, I'm speaking. According to your contract agreement, right? So your statements earlier that said you weren't supposed to supervise in your contract agreement that you signed and dated 10/26/18, you agreed to supervise and also to an effort to meet minority employment opportunities under your license, which you did not provide.
No, because as you can see, I wasn't on every job. So how could I?
But doesn't matter, sir. Your agreement states that you were supervisory services under your contract agreement. So you failed to supervise, even though you weren't on the project. That's your fault.
How's that my fault? If he didn't put me on those projects, how was I going to be on them?
You agreed to do it under your contract agreement. You signed and dated it 10/26/18.
To go there as an employee.
Under your P1, it's your responsibility. I have nothing else to say.
Okay. I wasn't on those jobs, so I couldn't supervise.
Well, then you should have said something to your employer and said, this is my license, I need to supervise, because you agreed to do it when you signed and dated that contract.
Okay, well, it's a mistake in the
Well, it was a mistake when you said you weren't required to supervise.
Okay, he never asked me to supervise. As
You're
far
a
as I
P1
know.
holder. You said you've been in business how many years, Mr. Ducato?
50 years I've been holding my
50
license.
years you've been in business. You know the law. You know the law, Mr. Ducato.
Okay.
Melissa Sheffy, you have another statement?
Don't we have permits pulled by Mr. Ducato, on the other projects? I thought we did. So we have a contract for this one, but we have permits pulled on the other projects. So by pulling the permits, Mr. Ducato, you're responsible for the P2s that work underneath you.
That is 100% correct.
Okay,
3 of them.
okay. Well, apparently he never hired any P2s.
It's your P1 he was working under. Those projects were under your P1 license.
Okay. He never told me that he was hiring.
You're the
people.
contractor of record, Mr. Ducato. You are the
Okay, all
contractor
right.
of record.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Does any other board members have anything for Mr. Ducato this morning?
Not necessarily for Mr. Ducato, but I was wondering if we could refer this over to the DOL to check out all of the certified payrolls and verify that those people have been paid.
If that needs to be made a motion, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to check with the Department of Labor to see if these payroll records and employees were registered with the DOL. All in favor of saying aye, say aye.
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 Deny? Okay, 6-0. Passes. At this point, Attorney Fernandez, should I start with the closing statement?
Yes.
I will review all the testimony and documents that have been presented at today's hearing and issue a written decision to each of the parties within the next 90 days. If you are aggrieved by this decision, you may exercise the appeal rights outlined in the letter that accompanies this decision. Today's hearing is hereby adjourned. I note the time is approximately 10:08 a.m. Thursday, September 14th, 2023. Thank you, Mr. Ducato, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Will the board deliberate and put a decision on the record?
I believe the document that was presented as a closing statement gave us, we can issue a written decision within 90 days from this document.
Right. I believe the deliberations have to be on the record, however. As
Okay.
we, yeah, I think we usually deliberate on the record unless, the board wanted to adjourn and meet again on the record to deliberate, or it could be done.
I think that's a good
today.
idea because Fernandez, the attorney, we would like to hear from the Department of Labor as well to see where they stand on this as well. I think that is, I no, can't do that.
No, like this that could be done by the board, separately, but in terms of this hearing, we can only go by what the department has alleged and the evidence presented today. And I think historically, normally we've deliberated on the record and then put together a decision, which is then put into writing after the hearing.
Okay. Mhm. So you'd like to have us vote on this today?
Deliberate, yes, exactly, right. That should be on the record.
Okay.
Miss Attorney Fernandez, could you tell us what the fines for each violation is?
Right, so for each one, according to chapter 20, 341, you know what, instead of memorizing it, I'll read it. So under 2341, subsection B, so penalty shall be in an amount not more than $1,000 for the first violation of this subsection, which is 2341. not more than $1,500 for a second violation, and not more than $3,000 for each violation of this subsection occurring less than 3 years after a second or subsequent violation. So meaning all of these violations alleged were performed within, I think, a 2-year period or year and a half period. So that the first violation was 1,000, the second 1,500, and then everyone after that was 3,000. And like I was saying earlier, that's the maximum, and the board isn't bound by that, but that's how I calculated it.
I'd like to
Okay.
go into executive session if possible.
I believe that is permitted.
Thank you, Attorney Fernandez. I'd like to get a motion to go into an executive session on
I'll
this.
make the motion. I'll make the motion, go in executive session.
Second emotion.
Sorry, Jay, you froze at the beginning of that.
I'll second it.
I said I'd
Joe
make the motion.
Pelletier, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, 6-0 passes. We're going to go into executive session at this time. Rochelle, is there a way that you can allow us to do so through the computer system?
Yes, let me remove some guests then.
I believe I have to leave as well.
Yes. I
Yep,
think so.
myself as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you guys and ladies of the board for your time today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
So
Thank
I
you,
just
everybody,
log out and I'm good?
I can remove you, Janita. Give me one moment. Your choice. I mean,
Because we'll be coming back.
Because I can't be here with them.
okay. Alrighty.
We'll be coming back.
Okay. That is everyone.
Rochelle? Rochelle?
Yes.
So we only have board members with us at this time.
Okay. You would like me to?
Just want to double check everybody is out and only board members are remaining at this time.
Only board and me, which I'll keep for
Thank you.
oh,
Yes. Yep. Okay. Melissa,
I have a quick question before you start. Why are there 8 people if there's 6 board members and Rochelle?
I am only seeing 7.
Me
I
too.
see 7.
And
Mine
Mid,
says
not
8.
Logan.
Right. I just want to make sure.
Would you mind, I apologize, would you guys mind to just give me one moment to double check on something before we start?
Yep.
Thank you.
thanks, Chip. I just noticed that too.
Okay, all right, thank you for waiting for me. I'm gonna stop the recording for now, okay?
Yes.